I stood by the front window, arms crossed, watching the SUV kick up dust as it disappeared down the road. My wife, Madison, her mother, her sister, and even her lazy brother-in-law, all packed into the car, heading off to Hawaii for 2 weeks of family bonding. I was left standing there, in our empty house, with Chloe, my wife's sister's teenage daughter, silent, pale, bedridden. At least, that's what they told me. Chloe was supposed to be mute, disabled, bedridden. It's just for 2 weeks, babe, Madison had said, batting her fake lashes at me, her voice sugar-sweet. You'll just need to feed her soup and change her blankets. Right. Like that sounded normal. The second their car disappeared down the street, Chloe did something that made the bottom of my world drop out. She stood up. Just like that, no hesitation, no struggle. She stood up, straight and tall, looking me dead in the eyes. Then, in a voice strong enough to make my skin crawl, she said, "They want my $20 million. Please help." I stumbled backward, slamming into the wall. What the hell? She grabbed my arm, desperate. They made it look like I was brain dead after the accident. But I'm not. I just pretended. If they get my inheritance, they're going to get rid of me. My mind raced. Madison, her family, all of them, lying to me, setting me up. I stared at Chloe, trying to process the shock pounding in my chest. But Chloe wasn't finished. "You think Madison loves you," she said, voice trembling but sharp. "She only married you because her ex got locked up. She's been meeting him while you're at work. The night she said she was at yoga class, she was with him." My fists clenched so tight my knuckles turned white. "You're lying," I muttered. She looked at me with pure pity. "They laugh about you. They call you the wallet. She and her mom, they plan everything." The house felt like it was spinning. I stumbled into the kitchen, grabbed the counter, trying to breathe. Every late night, every weird excuse, yoga classes, emergency shopping trips, her phone always glued to her hand. The expensive perfumes when she said she was just with the girls. My heart cracked open, raw and bleeding. And still, it wasn't over. Chloe followed me, pulling a battered tablet out of her backpack. She tapped it open and showed me a folder. Videos. Messages. Madison, half naked, giggling on FaceTime with some smug, tattooed guy I didn't recognize. "I miss how you make me feel," she whispered into the camera. Not like my boring-ass husband who thinks cuddling is enough. I wanted to smash the tablet against the wall. I wanted to smash everything. Instead, I stared. Frozen. Humiliated. Betrayed. "I can help you," Chloe said, her voice urgent. "But you have to help me first. They can't know I can talk. Or I'm dead." I rubbed my hands over my face. 2 weeks. I had 2 weeks until Madison and her demon family returned. 2 weeks to figure out what the hell to do. And somewhere, deep in my gut, another truth bloomed. Cold, heavy, inevitable. I was married to a monster. And somehow, I was going to make her pay. I didn't sleep that night. I sat on the edge of the bed Madison and I used to share, staring at the blank wall. The silence in the house felt alive, pulsing. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw her face, laughing, lying, pretending to love me while she sneaked around with some lowlife behind my back. Chloe stayed in the guest room, door locked, pretending to be the silent, helpless girl everyone thought she was. She warned me, if they found out she could talk, it would all be over. I believed her. After what I saw, I couldn't afford not to. The next morning, I went through Madison's things. Her closet was filled with brand new clothes I'd never seen before, tight dresses, barely their tops, stilettos with red bottoms. Things she'd never worn around me. Things she swore she hated. I found 2 phones tucked inside a shoebox under her side of the bed. One of them was password protected, but the other was wide open. Messages flooded the screen. "Madison and Ty. Last night was insane. Can't stop thinking about how you made me feel like a real woman again, winking face. Can't wait till this Hawaii trip's over. Want to pick up where we left off." Pictures too. Her in the backseat of a car, dress hiked up, his hand all over her. Her in some trashy motel room, posing in lingerie, biting her lip. None of it was for me. None of it was even meant to be hidden well. She didn't even bother erasing it. I felt a scream crawl up my throat and swallowed it down with bile. By afternoon, I couldn't sit still. I needed air. I needed to get away before I broke something I couldn't fix. I left Chloe with strict instructions to stay hidden if anyone came by. She nodded, terrified, and I knew she understood the stakes. Driving aimlessly, I ended up at the beach Madison always said she hated. Too sandy, too windy, too many gross old people. She'd whined every time I suggested we spend a weekend there. But as I pulled into the parking lot, I saw something that made my blood freeze in my veins. There, on the picnic tables by the dunes, sat Madison's sister, Heather, sipping margaritas with two guys I didn't recognize, laughing like she didn't have a care in the world. Definitely not looking like someone mourning her disabled daughter. I watched from the car, gripping the steering wheel so hard it creaked. Heather tossed her hair, climbed into the lap of the taller guy, and kissed him hard, like she hadn't just dumped her silent, bedridden child on me yesterday. The pieces started clicking together. It wasn't just Madison who was lying. It was all of them. Every last one. They needed Chloe out of the way. They needed someone they could blame if something accidental happened while they were partying in Hawaii. Some idiot husband who wouldn't ask questions. Someone disposable. Me. I drove home like a man possessed. My heart jackhammered in my chest. My vision tunneled. I barely remembered the ride, only that when I walked back through the door, Chloe was sitting at the kitchen table, waiting for me. "They're going to try to kill me," she said flatly. "Before my 18th birthday. That's when the trust fund releases." I dropped into a chair across from her, head in my hands. "We're getting out of here," I said. "Tonight." She nodded, already clutching a small backpack. Smart girl. Smarter than I'd given her credit for. We packed only essentials. Cash from the emergency jar. Copies of her medical records forged, according to her. Her ID. A burner phone she'd hidden. By nightfall, we were gone. I didn't leave a note. I didn't answer my phone when Madison called, her perfect face popping up on the screen, her text frantic. "Baby, please answer. Chloe needs her meds." "Baby, where are you? Call me now, it's an emergency." Emergency my ass. I tossed the phone out the window as we crossed the state line. But somewhere inside, a darker thought was already forming a plan. Because when Madison came back from her little Hawaiian getaway, expecting to walk into the same old life, the same old lies, she was going to find out I wasn't the fool she thought I was anymore. And for once, she was going to be the one left standing alone. I didn't sleep much that night either. Chloe passed out in the motel bed the second we locked the door behind us, but I sat in the battered armchair, staring at the peeling wallpaper, feeling the rage boil under my skin. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Madison's smug little smile. Heard her fake laugh. Thought about her wrapping herself around some guy while I sat home like a damn idiot, making her life easy. I knew she would be back in a few days. I also knew she'd come back with a plan. People like her, liars, manipulators, they don't lose easy. She'd expect me to still be her little puppet, still be playing dumb. I was done playing dumb. At sunrise, I drove to a Walmart 2 towns over. Paid cash for a cheap prepaid phone. No ID, no name. Set it up in the parking lot. First text I sent was to Madison. "We need to talk. Urgent. Call me." It took less than 5 minutes for the phone to start ringing. I didn't answer. I let her stew. Let her panic. Let her feel even a fraction of the powerlessness she had buried me under. For the next 2 days, I ghosted her completely. No calls. No texts. No explanations. Only once, in the middle of the night, did I let her leave a voicemail, just to hear the desperation in her voice. "Baby, please. Where are you? I'm so sorry if you're mad. It's not what you think." Fake crying. Pathetic. I almost crushed the phone in my hand listening to her. My beautiful wife. The woman I thought was my partner. A two-faced, gold-digging piece of garbage. On the 3rd day, I let her catch a whiff of me. I used a library computer to log into my old Facebook account, the one I hadn't touched in months, and I posted a single photo, a blurry snapshot of a sunrise over a highway. No caption, no location, just enough to light a fire under her ass. She took the bait instantly. 27 missed calls, 43 texts, messages from her sister, her mom, even her lazy brother-in-law. Suddenly they all cared. I shut the laptop and smiled. Let them sweat. Chloe watched me, sitting cross-legged on the motel bed, hugging a pillow to her chest. She didn't say much. She didn't need to. We were bonded now, 2 prisoners from the same dungeon, clawing our way out. That night, Chloe told me more. About the night of her accident. How Madison's brother spiked her drink at a party. How she blacked out, woke up in a hospital bed, too groggy to move, too terrified to fight. How they told the doctors she was brain damaged. How they manipulated every diagnosis, every record, every damn minute. All for money. The bile rose in my throat again. I had lived among these people. Hugged them. Let them into my home. Into my life. Into my heart. I wanted to burn the world down. By the 5th day, Madison's mask finally cracked. A new message buzzed across the burner phone just after midnight. You're dead when I find you. No more sweet talk. No more pretending. Good. I wanted her angry. I wanted her desperate. I wanted her to show her real face. The next morning, Chloe and I drove to a lawyer's office 2 towns over, a sharp, ruthless guy named Derek, recommended by one of the few real friends I had left. Derek didn't ask many questions. He listened, took notes, and then leaned back in his chair with a smirk. You know, he said, tapping his pen against the folder, with the right moves, not only can we expose them, you could walk away with everything. I hadn't even been thinking that far. I just wanted out. I wanted to be free. But when Derek said it, something dark inside me shifted. Maybe it wasn't enough just to survive. Maybe I needed to win. Maybe Madison needed to lose. Everything she cared about, everything she thought she could steal, everything she thought she could control. And for the first time in weeks, I didn't feel scared. I felt alive. 2 days later, we were back in town. Not at the house, no. That place made my skin crawl now. It wasn't a home anymore. It was a crime scene, a graveyard full of dead promises. We stayed hidden, tucked into an old extended-stay motel off the highway, the kind with flickering signs and cigarette burns in the carpets. But it gave us what we needed, a base, a place to watch from the shadows. Because I wasn't going to hide forever. It was time for Madison to feel hunted. I sat in the parking lot across from our street, windows down, baseball cap pulled low over my face. Chloe was with Derek, finalizing paperwork to freeze the trust fund. I told her to stay gone until I called. No risks. No mistakes. From my seat, I could see Madison's white Mercedes parked sloppily in the driveway. She was home. And she wasn't alone. A black Camaro, tinted windows, low to the ground, throbbed in front of the house. I didn't have to guess twice. Ty, the dirtbag from the motel videos. I watched Madison stumble out of the passenger's side, laughing too loudly, hair a mess, dress clinging to her body like she'd just finished another yoga session. She kissed him, hard, desperate, almost ugly, before dragging him by the hand toward the front door. My fists gripped the steering wheel so tight it groaned. That was my house. My life. My money. She didn't even wait for the ink on her betrayal to dry. She thought I was out of the picture. She thought she won. And right then, I knew exactly how I was going to break her. I waited until the Camaro peeled off, music blaring. Madison stumbled back inside alone. 5 minutes later, I called her burner phone. She picked up on the second ring. Baby, she gasped. Oh my God, where are you? I've been so scared. There's crazy people calling the house. I think Chloe's psycho friends. Shut up, I said calmly. She froze. I could hear it, the sharp inhale, the instant fear. You think I'm stupid? I asked, voice low. You think I don't know what you've been doing while I was breaking my back for you? Baby. No, she blurted. It's not what you think. I swear. It's complicated. You don't understand. He's just a friend. I was lonely. You were so distant. I made a mistake. But I love you. I laughed. Not because it was funny. Because it was so pathetic it hurt. You love me? Was it love when you let him rip your dress off in some **TTY motel? Was it love when you said you wished I'd just disappear? Silence. Then, the real Madison came out. Like a snake shedding its skin. You're weak, she hissed. You always have been. You were just supposed to be a stepping stone. A wallet. Jesus, I couldn't even fake wanting you half the time. It hit like a brick to the chest. But under the pain, under the white-hot rage, there was something colder now. Something steadier. Good, I said. Because you're going to need all that anger where you're going. What does that mean? She snapped. I hung up without answering. 30 minutes later, Derek filed an emergency court motion. Fraud. Elder abuse. Financial manipulation. Attempted medical kidnapping. Every charge we could stick to Madison and her family, we did. I had the videos. I had Chloe's testimony. I had enough evidence to bury them. And I wasn't stopping there. Madison didn't know it yet, but I had already moved every penny from our joint accounts. Shut down the credit cards. Seized the house in my name. Thanks to a little-known clause in our prenup she was too arrogant to read. By morning, Madison was going to wake up broke, homeless, and under investigation. And me? I was finally going to breathe again. Madison didn't go down quiet. The next morning, I sat in the lawyer's office with Derek, watching the security camera feed from my phone. She stormed into the house like a hurricane, slamming doors, screaming into her phone, pacing like a cornered animal. She must have checked the bank accounts first. The look on her face, pure panic, pure rage, was the sweetest thing I'd ever seen. Her mother, Brenda, showed up an hour later, heels clacking furiously on the driveway. They screamed at each other on the porch, pointing, shoving, wild hands flying everywhere. I turned to Derek. Think they're figuring it out? He smirked. Give it another hour. By noon, the sheriff's car rolled up the street. Madison ran outside like a woman on fire, shrieking something about robbery, fraud, kidnapping. She tried to play the victim, crying, collapsing dramatically into the officer's arms. The officer calmly handed her a court summons. Brenda nearly fainted. Madison threw a full-body tantrum like a spoiled teenager. I leaned back in my chair and exhaled slowly. Justice tasted better than I thought. But it wasn't over yet. Not even close. That afternoon, Madison showed up at Derek's office, demanding to see me. Security turned her away, but not before I got to watch her meltdown from the window upstairs. She pounded on the glass, shrieking curses. Every dirty word she could think of. Every lie, every sob, every insult she could hurl. You're nothing without me, she screamed. You're a joke. You'll come crawling back. You always do. I stood there behind the curtain, silent, calm. I wasn't coming back. Not this time. That night, when the motel room got too cramped, Chloe and I moved again, this time to a small rental Derek found under a friend's name. It was nothing fancy, but it had locks, cameras, and privacy. That was all we needed. Chloe stayed in the bedroom, sketching in a notepad, trying to pretend she wasn't scared. I sat on the couch, staring at the cheap TV, not really seeing it. Madison's words echoed in my skull. You're nothing without me. It used to hurt when she said things like that. Used to cut me deep. Now, all I felt was disgust. I thought about every night I stayed late at work so we could afford a bigger house. Every anniversary I tried to make special. Every sacrifice I made while she was out playing pretend with some dirtbag. She didn't love me. She never did. I was a fool. But not anymore. 2 days later, the hearing came. I watched Madison walk into the courthouse in a tight black dress, fake tears already glistening in her eyes, like she thought she was starring in some cheap soap opera. Brenda clung to her arm, whispering furiously in her ear. Heather showed up too, looking hungover and angry. They thought they had it under control. They didn't know what was coming. Chloe, dressed in a simple blue sweater and jeans, walked quietly into the courtroom, head high. She wasn't the silent, broken girl they remembered. She was about to rip the mask right off their faces. And when she did, when she spoke for the first time in front of that judge, her voice clear, steady, devastating, Madison's entire world shattered right in front of me. Her mouth dropped open. Her hands shook. She looked at me across the room, pure hatred burning in her eyes. Good. She finally saw me. Not the fool. Not the wallet. Not the stepping stone. She saw the man who was going to destroy her. And it was only just beginning. Madison tried to recover fast. She flipped the fake tears back on like a switch, standing up, screaming about how Chloe must be coached, and how this is a setup, throwing wild accusations in every direction like a drowning rat. The judge wasn't buying it. Not for a second. Derek laid everything out like a surgeon cutting flesh, the financial records, the hidden medical files, the forged doctor's notes, the real videos of Madison laughing with Ty about how easy it would be to get rid of Chloe. About how they would celebrate once the money hit. The courtroom was dead silent except for Madison shrieking. The judge ordered a full investigation into her and her family, effective immediately. Bank accounts frozen. Trust fund locked. Assets seized for review. I didn't even have to smile. It was already written all over my face. Madison lunged at me when the session ended, had to be dragged out by 2 deputies while she screamed threats at the top of her lungs. You think this is over, you pathetic little man, she shrieked. You think you're safe. You're nothing without me. I didn't answer. I just watched them stuff her into the back of a cruiser. For the first time in years, I realized something. I wasn't nothing. I was finally free. But that freedom didn't last long. The next night, around 2 in the morning, the door to the rental house rattled. I sat bolt upright on the couch, heart slamming against my ribs. The cameras outside had caught movement. Figures, 2 of them, creeping toward the back door. I grabbed the bat I kept tucked behind the couch and signaled Chloe to stay silent, stay hidden. Footsteps scraped outside the window. A whisperer female. Madison. She wasn't done yet. I saw her shadow slip past the glass, her voice low and urgent. Just get inside, Ty. We'll take care of this. The bastard Ty was with her, probably high, stupid enough to do whatever she said. They thought I'd roll over. They thought I'd panic. Wrong. I let them fiddle with the back door, trying to force the lock. Then, just as Ty's had appeared through the cracked window, I slammed the bat down. Bone cracked. Blood sprayed. He crumpled like a sack of rocks, groaning on the porch. Madison screamed and bolted, sprinting into the night. I called the cops, gave them the whole story, even handed over the footage. Ty got taken away on a stretcher. Madison got a warrant issued for breaking and entering and conspiracy. And me? I slept better that night than I had in years. The next few days were a blur of police reports, lawyer meetings, and pure, cold satisfaction. Madison tried everything. Fake tearful videos on social media. Pathetic sob stories about how I abandoned her, how I stole everything from her, how she was just a misunderstood woman trying to protect her family. It didn't work. Nobody bought it. Her friends? Gone. Her reputation? Destroyed. Her family? Scattered, scrambling to save their own skins. And Chloe? Chloe got her voice back for good. She wasn't just surviving anymore. She was living. One night, after we packed the last box into the truck, Chloe's new place, her new start, she hugged me hard around the waist. "You saved me," she whispered. I squeezed her back, feeling more human than I had in years. "You saved yourself," I said. And I meant it. I watched her drive away, her face bright, her future open, and for the first time in forever, I didn't feel like I was losing anything. I felt like I finally got something back. My soul. My dignity. My damn life. I thought it was over. I thought Madison would finally crawl away, lick her wounds somewhere dark, and leave me in peace. I should have known better. A week later, I got a call from Derek while I was fixing the leak under my new kitchen sink. "You're going to want to sit down for this," he said. I wiped my hands on a towel, already feeling the familiar tightness in my chest. "Madison's pregnant," he said. The world tilted sideways. "No," I muttered. "No way." "She filed papers," Derek said. "Claims it's yours. Claims you abandoned your pregnant wife and that you're trying to financially cripple her so she'll lose the baby." My hands curled into fists. I wanted to punch straight through the drywall. "She's trying to trap you," Derek said calmly. "Probably hoping you'll settle out of court to shut her up." I leaned back against the counter, the cold rage bleeding out of me slower this time. Different. Heavier. "I want to test," I said. "Already in motion," Derek promised. "Don't worry." But deep down, I knew. I knew that child wasn't mine. She hadn't touched me in months before she left for Hawaii. I could barely get her to even sit next to me without acting like I smelled bad. The kid was Ty's. Or someone else's. Probably whoever was dumb enough to believe the same lies I once did. Still, the court demanded appearances. So a week later, I stood in a sterile white clinic while Madison waddled in, fake bump shoved out proudly, smirking like the devil himself. "You're gonna pay, sweetie," she whispered as she walked past me. One way or another. I didn't answer. I just stared through her like she didn't exist. The DNA test took less than 10 minutes. The waiting for the results? That was the real torture. 3 days of pure, raw nerves. 3 days imagining the headlines she was already writing in her snake brain. And then, the call. Not mine. 0% match. I sat there in my truck after getting the news, hand shaking, heart pounding. Not mine. Freedom. It tasted like steel and smoke and tears. That night, I celebrated the only way I knew how, alone, at the old bar by the highway where nobody knew my name. Nobody cared about Madison's drama, and nobody expected anything from me except maybe a nod or a tip. I raised a glass to the empty air. "To surviving monsters," I muttered. The bartender gave me a look, but didn't ask. Smart man. When I finally stumbled back to the house just past midnight, there was an envelope taped to my door. No stamp. No name. Just one word scrawled across it. Coward. Inside, a blurry photo of Madison, makeup streaked down her face, middle finger raised at the camera. It should have scared me. It didn't. It made me laugh. The shrill, broken, ugly laugh of a woman who thought she was untouchable, finding out that she wasn't even worth chasing anymore. Let her scream. Let her threaten. Let her rot. I was done bleeding for people who only wanted to sharpen their knives on me. The next day, I booked a flight. A new city. A new start. Somewhere with no memories, no traps, no Madison. When I boarded that plane with nothing but a duffel bag and a heartbeat, it didn't feel like running away. It felt like resurrection. The city I chose was nothing special. It didn't have the sparkling beaches Madison loved, or the fancy brunch spots she used to drag me to just to show off her new handbags. It was small, a little rough around the edges. Real. People minded their business. Nobody cared who you used to be, only who you showed up as today. Perfect. I got a cheap apartment above a diner. Picked up work with a construction crew that didn't ask questions. Spent my nights walking empty streets with a black coffee in one hand and my life packed into the other. For the first time in as long as I could remember, I wasn't living in somebody else's story. I wasn't a prop in Madison's soap opera. I was a man again. I didn't block Madison's number. Didn't need to. The call slowed, then stopped. The rage text dried up too, replaced by silence. Maybe she finally found someone else to bleed dry. Maybe the weight of her own lies crushed her. Maybe she realized there was nothing left of me to feed on. Didn't matter. She was the ghost now. I ran into a girl one night at the diner. Nothing serious. Just someone with kind eyes and no sharp edges. We talked about stupid stuff. Bad movies. Broken coffee machines. Life. And when she laughed, really laughed, not that fake, hollow giggle Madison used to throw around, I realized something. I wasn't broken. I wasn't ruined. I had been poisoned. Yes. Lied to. Cheated on. Stabbed right through the heart by the person I trusted most. But I wasn't destroyed. I was still standing. Wiser. Meaner. Stronger. If there's anything I learned through all this, it's this. If you see someone flashing a perfect smile too often, check their hands. See if they're holding a knife behind their back. If someone tells you they love you but make you feel small, run. If someone needs you to be blind for them to feel powerful, leave them gasping in your dust. You owe nothing to anyone who feeds off your kindness. And if you ever love someone, love with your eyes open, not closed. Some people, like Madison, they aren't partners. They aren't lovers. They're thieves. Parasites. Actors in their own twisted little play. Don't be their audience. Burn the stage down if you have to. Save yourself. Because in the end, no one's coming to rescue you but you. As I sit here now, the city humming around me, my coffee growing cold in my hands, I don't hate Madison anymore. She's nothing to me now. Just a scar. A warning. A memory already starting to fade. The best part? She'll never have another second of my life. Not a single breath. Not a single tear. Not a single ounce of power. It's all mine now. And I swear on everything that matters. She'll never steal it again.